Welcome back. In a week that was supposed to be marked by historic plans for new infrastructure, instead, it's marked by this, an openly nasty clash between Congress and the White House over congressional oversight that the Wall Street Journal predicts will reverberate for years to come. The Attorney General of the United States ditching a House hearing. AG Barr accused by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of lying to Congress. The president snubbing congressional subpoenas, and the head of the House Judiciary Committee threatening to hold the AG in contempt. With me this morning, freshman Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, Democrat from New Jersey, and a military veteran who's made infrastructure one of her top missions on the Hill. All that happened in like the last 48 hours or so, which is, it's a little mind-boggling, right? So you have all this talk of obstruction, of lawsuits, threats this week. But there is a big picture question, and you've only been in Congress for 4 years. You know what the Constitution says. You know what your role is of oversight. And the Wall Street Journal saying what we're seeing could change in 4 months. What we're seeing could block congressional oversight, change congressional oversight for years to come. Are you worried about that?
You know, I think a lot of us are worried about everything going on. It feels like I've been in 4 years because there are so many moving parts right now. There's some really concerning things in the Mueller report that I think Congress has to look into. But a lot of us got into our races, including myself, because we're concerned about the institution of our democracy. We're concerned about moving forward. I'm a former Russian policy officer. You know, something that gets missed in all of this is often the fact that we had a foreign power hack into the heart of our democracy.
The whole part one of the Mueller report.
The whole part one of the Mueller report, that the stuff coming out on the Internet Research Agency, the Russian-backed agency, fomenting grassroots protests that people thought were real, Internet chat sites that people thought were real. We have seen these tactics by the Russians in foreign countries, but they did it here in the United States, and that's something that has to be addressed as well.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as you know, has not been hot on the idea of impeachment. She's been very cautious about it. But this week compared the refusal to comply with subpoenas to Nixon-era crimes, some of the strongest language we have heard from her so far. So I want to ask you a series of related questions. Do you agree with Speaker Pelosi that William Barr lied? Do you believe he committed a crime if you think he lied? And do you believe the House should commence an impeachment inquiry?
So I think the House has constitutional oversight responsibilities, which it is fulfilling now. And I think it needs to continue to look into getting the full unredacted report. In fact, I think Barr should have already asked a judge to give Congress the unredacted version of the report, to give them the grand jury testimony. I think we will go to court to get that grand jury testimony. I do think there were some, I think Barr misled Congress in some of his statements. The Mueller letter pretty much lays out that he had problems.
So what do you do about it if he sat before Congress, the #1 law enforcement officer in the United States, if he sits before Congress, some people call it lies, some people say what he said was at very least misleading. Are there any consequences?
Well, that's what we're looking to. That's why he needs to come back and testify before the House to clear up any statements that he made that, and repeat, make us understand what he meant by that. We're calling Mueller in. He's going to testify. We'll get to the bottom of what he said and that conversation with Barr, which we don't have right now. Barr said that they had another conversation. We need to look into that. But, these are all things that I think Congress has to continue its oversight responsibilities moving forward. Again, though, several of the national security members are equally concerned about the fact that we need to make sure that the Russian interference in our elections does not happen again in 2020.
So this is supposed to be the Friday of Infrastructure Week. I've lost track of how many infrastructure weeks that we've had. The president actually made it a big part of his pitch when he ran for president. So here we are again. Sounded a couple days ago like they had a good meeting. The Chuck and Nancy, as the president likes to call them, went to the Oval Office. You've got one of the major projects that could be impacted by this Gateway Tunnel. For people who don't live in this area, it would connect New Jersey and New York. But look, there are projects like that, large and small, all across America. Does anything get done?
Well,
I mean, we thought that this was one thing even going into the presidency that maybe Democrats and
this would
Republicans
happen.
could agree on.
Right. Yes, in New York and New Jersey, every week is Infrastructure Week. In fact, I'm a little bit tired because at midnight last night, I was actually in the Hudson River Tunnel examining some of the damage from Superstorm Sandy. And it's critical we move forward. It's a marvel of engineering. It's a marvel of American ingenuity and know-how from 100 years ago. I mean, this is something that right now we have got to get moving forward on the most critical infrastructure project in the nation. And I think the thing that kind of boggles the mind for many of us in this region is that Congress has already appropriated money for the Portal Bridge project, something that could right away start to improve efficiency on the tracks, and that's been paid for. So all we need is the administration to release the funds. And you know, the environmental assessment's done. We are simply waiting to get started on that project. So the fact that hasn't begun is really hard to understand. We had the chairman of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee from Oregon, no less, in the tunnels. We were right under Weehawken last night at about midnight. He wasn't there for a photo op, right? He was there because this is the most important infrastructure in the nation right now.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.